So one of the things that you talked about here at the conference is fasting, and I know it's become a hot topic. Why has it blown up so much lately in the last half dozen years or so?
Well, I think the primary reason is because of the robust research that has really shown the health benefits of fasting. Now, one of the leaders in terms of fasting research has been the Longevity Institute at USC under the directorship of Professor Walter Longo, and they have been researching a whole variety of different types of fasting. So we have to define what fasting means, because for a lot of people, fasting means you don't eat between meals. So there really are a lot of different ways that you can fast. And the way that I have adapted and what I use in my practice is the fasting mimicking diet, which has tremendous health benefits. It's a brilliant way of enabling people to actually fast without having to actually fast. They eat food for 5 days that flies under the radar of detection, so I call it stealth food, and yet they get the benefits as if they had actually fasted with nothing to eat whatsoever, just drinking water for 4 days, and they're tremendous health benefits.
So explain the fasting mimicking diet, and what are you consuming then that makes it seem like you're fasting when you're really not?
Well, it's hard to understand how they could come up with this, but they did. It took quite a bit of work, but they found the exact combination of nutrients that flies under the radar of detection of the nutrient sensors that are located in the brain. So I call it stealth food. So it has very low protein, and it has very low carb. It's really predominantly fat, but it's not a lot of food. The first day, it's 5 days. The first day, which is sort of like the prep day, is about 1,100 calories, and the next 4 days are about 760 or so. So it's not a lot of food, but you get 3 meals a day, like a nut bar for breakfast, and then you get soups for lunch and dinner with other little accoutrements, like a little bag of olives, or you get what they call a Cocoa Crisp, which is delicious actually. It's like a little brownie, or you get kale crackers. So it's real food. It's just formulated so that your body doesn't recognize that you're eating. And that really enables people to do it, because I have tried myself to fast. I never get past 1 day. And to try to actually implement that in a real medical practice you're going to have compliance of less than 1%. So this really is a practical way of enabling people, really just about anyone. Very few people don't qualify. There are exceptions to who could do it. You can't be too thin, and you can't be too old, and you can't be too frail or too sick. But the vast majority of people really do qualify and can actually do this. So it doesn't matter if something is good for people if they absolutely cannot or will not do it.
So that's 5 days. What do you do the other 2?
Oh, well, it's all the other days of the whole month.
Oh, okay. Oh.
You eat, and this is actually very, very key. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not just the fasting, it's the refeeding, which is very, very important. So you wouldn't want to eat a lot of junk food, because what happens is after you go through this, we'll call it, they call it fasting mimicking, so it's a pseudo fast essentially, but your body gets the benefits as if it were a true fast. So what happens is that your body actually goes into a state of survival. It's by around day 3, when you haven't had any food, well, your body says, you know what, we've got to do something. We're going to starve to death. So it takes the crappy cells, the ones that are taking up nutrients that are not available, and kills them off. So we call that programmed cell suicide, or apoptosis. So those are the cells that are old. We call them senescent or potentially cancerous cells. So they get killed off. And then the good cells get rejuvenated from within, because you're recycling. So you don't have nutrients, so you actually break apart the cellular components, the organelles. They go into what I call the recycling bin, or the lysosome, where they're broken down into their component parts, like amino acids, fatty acids, and then they're reconfigured into new structures in the cell. So it's like a total rehab to the cell. So the cells, being healthier, can actually live longer. And that's why in mice, and they're actually predicting this for humans, but this is all statistical kind of work, but in mice and other creatures, they have actually shown significant increase in longevity, because what limits our lifespan? It's that cells can't reproduce at a certain point. That's what they call with the telomeres. So you get to a certain point, cells are going to die, and then you can't replace them. That's what makes it that humans can't live to 200, no matter how well you exercise or eat or anything. But if every cell in the body lives longer, then it will take longer before you run out of your ability to replace your cells. So there's a potential there for actual longevity, but right now we're focusing on health span, so people can live hopefully the longest lives possible, but healthy, so that they're not going through years of disability, pain, and misery, really, which really is what marked many people during the last couple of decades of their lives. They're not living the life that they would want to have. So in terms of the refeeding, in order to get the full benefit where you actually stimulate stem cells, that's like you might call the secret sauce, is that you also, when you do this type of a fast, now you don't get this if you do a 1, 2, 3 day fast, you have to go out longer. You actually start killing, as I mentioned, you kill off the old bad cells or the ones that could be turning to cancer. Well, you've got to replace them. So many organs in the body literally shrink. And you can actually, they have actually seen that on doing imaging studies. And then they regrow back to normal size. Well, how can they do that? Stem cells are stimulated. And that has to happen, and it continues during the refeeding. So you have to eat healthy food. So you want to eat lots of real food, organic food. But when I say lots of food, the first day back into eating real food, you don't eat heavily.
Sure.
But you want, whatever you eat has to be quality. So it's really about eating quality food, vegetables, a lot of vegetable protein. You don't have to eat a lot of animal protein, but lots of beans and lentils and vegetables, some fruit. And the first day you eat lightly back, that's day 6, and then thereafter you can eat normally, but normally meaning healthy food. In terms of quantity, you can eat whatever you would want. That's the beauty of this. It's not about counting calories at all. In fact, if anything has failed the test of time of success, it's trying to count calories. I mean, how many times are we going to try that one? We now know that it's about so many different things that go on metabolically that actually set your weight, not just how many calories you eat. And in fact, all calories, of course, are not the same. So you can't count vegetables from, calories from vegetables like broccoli the same way that you would from a donut. So the refeeding time is very important for having the stem cells stimulate and regrow. And then it's not all about one thing or another. That's the beauty of life and being healthy, is that there's this like yin yang that the Chinese got way back 2,000 years ago. So there's a time for not eating and a time for feeding, and it all balances out in the healthy body. And of course, in our modern society, we have been very disproportionately living the life of constant feeding. And it's taken its toll on all of us. So this is a reawakening of what our bodies need, and it's really an amazing thing to behold when you see your patients doing this and seeing the benefits.